Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Normie CE Training. Today is February 14th, 2023. I want to welcome you all to the room. I want to welcome our Normie members that came in here at a quarter of the hour, which is a special meeting that we have each Tuesday night before we go live across all these different platforms. And I want to welcome all of you that are joining us on all the different platforms. We're actually out on, I believe it's 10 or 12, I lost count, different social media platforms, including 2 different pages on Facebook Live. Right now we're streaming, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, DLive, and a whole bunch of other places. So we're out there, and I want to welcome all of you that are watching and listening tonight. With that, I want to welcome our admin people. We have Tim, Roger, and it looks like Mike here in the room with me. So thank you all for being here. And the only other thing I want to mention to everybody before we get started,
Thank you all.
is if you go to normie.org, don't do it now, please, but if you go to normie.org, you'll see a green bar across the top of the page. And on there are 2 things of interest I'd like you to look at. One is Normie TV, and the one next to that is podcasts. Clicking on either one of those would give you information about either way of watching or listening to us. The TV channel has a player on it where you can actually watch there, and all the different platforms are listed that you can go to. So you're probably watching or listening on one of those platforms as we speak. So welcome, everybody. All right, I'm going to get right into the presentation. We did a little changing of our schedule around due to some things that came up last minute. So tonight we're actually going to be doing the interview with Rachel from Air Answers. And a lot of people here in the room I know have spoken with her, people that are using the Air Answers device. And it's something that really adds to our industry. It really adds to the indoor air quality market and component that we deal with for providing services to people that really need it, whether they are people that are hypersensitive to allergies or just environmentally sensitive people. This is the type of equipment that you need to help move forward with helping these people out. So without anything else, I'm going to ask all of our admin people to shut down their mics, shut down their videos. I'm going to do the same, and we're going to get started with our interview. So stand by. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat area, and we can try to handle those as we go. Thank you, everybody. Stand by. I want to welcome Rachel Rabelais from Air Answers to our stream today. And I've talked with her before. It's always interesting when we meet up with the people from Air Answers. They're always coming up with something new and more high-tech into the industry of indoor air quality, allergens, and some really cool scientific stuff. So Rachel, how about a quick hello, and we'll start chatting.
Hi. Well, thanks for having me, Lance. Really happy to be here. And hello to everyone out there in the Normie universe.
Well, it's funny you say that. We're broadcasting this on all kinds of channels through social media, and it's going to be out there in a lot of places.
Well, that's exciting.
You know, again, it's technology, and it's there to be used, just like the stuff you guys are coming out with. So with that, I got a few questions for you.
Of course.
So first of all, I heard that you guys have some kind of newsletter coming out. What's that all about?
Yes, we're going to have a quarterly newsletter we send out with all of our updates, update on our testing that we're offering, information about partnerships or conferences that we're going to. And there'll be a link on there to set up a consultation with us. It'll be a short 15-minute free consultation to learn more about the technology.
Can anybody sign up for that newsletter?
The newsletter goes out to all of our customers, all Normie members. So yeah, I mean, anyone who's interested in it, go to our website and fill out the contact us for more information link, and we'll provide you with a newsletter.
That's what I was looking for. So yes, okay. Because I know a lot of our members, even if they're not using your services as yet, may still want to get that newsletter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Sure.
Okay, I'm just curious, what prompted that? I mean, because you haven't done that in the past.
Well, we thought it would just be, we always have so much going on and we don't feel sometimes that we're getting that information out there. And this time around, we decided we really wanted people to know what we're doing, new things that we're adding, things that would be potentially more interesting to different businesses. And, we just want people to know what's going on.
Okay, very good. Well, I'll be signing up for that because I don't think I'm getting it yet. And I just found
No.
out that you're doing that. So,
Oh, no. Oh, you'll get one.
okay. It's important to stay up to date. And just so you know, I just want to segue into this really quick. I am using the official Air Masters coffee mug that I got at the last convention with you
Oh,
guys. Uh, it's an amazing coffee cup. I'll talk about that later.
it's the best coffee cup.
Yes, yes, it is. All right. So as far as technology, and the coffee cup is a lot of technology because it keeps stuff warm for hours.
Exactly.
I know you have new tests coming up. I mean, we've talked quite a bit recently, and you keep describing new processes that are coming. Can you talk about some of the newer ones and the old ones too, but definitely the newer ones?
Okay. Well, one of the things that we have coming out this week for anyone who's working with cannabis grow facilities, we're adding botrytis onto our menu. We have powdery mildew, and then we're going to be adding botrytis to that. That is going to come out by the end of this week. It's going to be available for purchase.
I know from what we've done in the IAQ industry, the grow houses are really concerned about the different powdery funguses and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I'm assuming that's what you're talking about here. I didn't know the specific name before, but I know that they have to submit samples to different government entities for testing purposes, and that's one of the things they're really concerned about because they could lose an entire crop if that's out of control.
Oh yeah, the whole crop can go because of botrytis or bud rot and powdery mildew issues. But also for people who are working with those cannabis growers, one of the state requirements for a lot of different places is aspergillus. So we do have that aspergillus option as part of our mold genera testing as well, which could be helpful. And then we have one of our other panels, opportunistic fungal pathogen panel. There's two species of aspergillus on that one as well that could be helpful in this area: Aspergillus niger and Aspergillus fumigatus, which are two of the four aspergillus species that are problematic for people who want to pass their state requirements.
Are those the specific species that affect people with aspergillosis, I believe it's called?
Yes. It's people who are immunocompromised, or it makes perfect sense. I mean, if you're going to be inhaling something or you're going to be using something for human consumption, you don't want them to inhale a bunch of different spores or kinds of molds that could potentially cause serious respiratory problems.
Well, I know you've been expanding out all the different types of testing, and I know we've talked over the last 2 or 3 years about this, especially when COVID came out, because you do testing for COVID also.
Oh, yeah.
What else are you testing for, or can you let us know that you'll be testing for in the coming future?
All right. Well, this is all new information, so I'll give you just like a little sneak peek, but we are going to be expanding our viral panel. And so we will be adding more viruses to that, and viruses that would be potentially interesting to people in schools and people in buildings and everything else. So we're working to expand that. So we're going to be adding not just COVID, we're going to be having other viruses as well.
I mean, it sounds specifically the way you're talking like it's also targeting a little bit more into the medical industry. I mean, we obviously know the indoor air quality is desperate need for all of this testing, but it sounds like the medical industry may have a bigger interest in this.
Could be. I could see the medical industry being interested in this as well.
Yeah, I know that, we've run into issues over the years with the medical industry has been resistant to deal with more of the environmental issues affecting people, but I think that's changing now. And I think stuff like your technology is making a big difference where it's accessible and understandable to the layperson and the doctors.
Mhm. I completely agree.
All right, cool. All
Yeah,
right. Well, if you think of anything else while we're chatting here that's coming out that you can share with us, please do.
that's what I have right now,
All right.
but
Well, let's
got
see.
more coming soon.
I know we were at, I believe it was the ISSA convention was the
Yeah,
last time. And
yeah,
I think you guys are going to be at the IAQA convention also.
that's correct. We will have a booth at the IAQA, and I will be participating in a panel conversation moderated by Michael Pinto on mycotoxins. So there'll be a group of us in that panel discussion, and that'll take place at the I think it's I forget what night of the it's I think it's like 4:30 or 5 o'clock on Tuesday, but it's during the IAQA. So keep an eye out for that panel discussion, and it should be really interesting.
I know Doug Hoffman is going to be at the IAQA show. I'm not sure if I am or not yet. I have a few things coming up, so I may not be able to get there, but I know Doug is going to be there, so you'll be probably chatting with him.
Oh yeah.
Um, Michael Pinto, is one of our senior instructors. I mean, he runs some classes for us that are really specific to sensitized individuals. And one of the important things in his teachings is also your technology,
Mhm.
because, the people that are sensitized, which I believe now is they're considering between 20 and 25% of the population out there. It's like 1 in 4 people are
That's
considered
crazy.
sensitized,
Oh yeah.
and it's not that it's really been that different over the last several years. It's just
Mhm.
become an awareness now. And now
Mhm.
people want to know what's going on in their environment. And that's really where your type of technology really comes in.
Oh yeah.
I keep calling it technology, and I don't want it to sound science fiction like, but
You don't want to say electrokinetic capture technology?
no, it's too early in the day for that.
Haven't had enough coffee yet?
Yeah, pretty much. No, I don't want to do that, but I do want to say that, we had talked, a few months back about the teaching of your technology to like our members and the public. And you would come up with some specific short videos
Yeah.
that really went into detail, but quickly, so people could understand it, how to use the technology, what it could be used for,
Mhm.
and actually how to just to turn it on.
Yep.
We found with a lot of the technology that's out there that people don't want to read instructions any longer.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it myself. You open up that furniture
True.
you want to put together, no, we don't need these. And some of the companies now have been putting out just pictures, no more
Mhm.
words, instructions. But you went to the next step and actually did videos showing people how to manipulate the cartridges, how to turn things on and off and reset, which was extremely helpful. And we
Well, if
actually
there's
on our
anyone
web.
else who needs, I mean, if there's any other videos you can think of, we're gladly put those together as well if they will help to provide more information.
Be careful what you offer to do.
No.
And because we never know. I mean, we're dealing with several different generations of assessors, inspectors, remediators, and the general public, and they all learn differently. Some people have to read directions, other people have to look at pictures, other people need to just have a video explaining it to them. And
Yeah.
having all these different ways out there really makes a difference. So yeah, we may be asking you to do a few more of those
Great.
things.
I understand. I'm very visual myself. So, I mean, I got a table from Amazon the other day, and it went right to YouTube, and it had a whole video on how to put it together. So, I completely understand.
Can you talk a little bit more about the types of allergens that you guys can test for? Um,
Mm.
I get a lot of questions from people about, I know I have allergies, but I don't know what I'm allergic to. Or I went to a doctor and he said I'm allergic to these 4 things, but I don't know. I don't think I have, anything in the house related to a cat, but they say I'm allergic to cats. That type of testing.
Yeah. Yep. I completely understand. We've had quite a few people who moved into places and they don't know, everyone automatically goes to mold. It's like, well, my eyes are itchy and I'm having these problems directly because of mold. And then you find out that, we find cat allergen in the home. So what we specifically test for is we have a cat allergen, dog allergen, dust mite, cockroach, mouse, and 3 different types of pollens. So we do tree pollen, grass pollen, and ragweed pollen.
I got to go back to the dogs and cats for a moment.
Okay.
Is it testing, because this is a question I get all the time about the allergen portion of it. Is it testing basically the saliva aspect of it or the dander, or what is it looking at?
It's actually testing for a particular protein, and that protein is what the allergen is. And that allergen can be found in saliva, it can be found in urine, and it can be found on the animal dander. So it can be in any of those things. So we're specifically targeting the actual allergen.
That's interesting because when I've talked with people that have dog allergies, cat allergies, they're always worried about the fur and the dander that's all over the place. That's what they think they're allergic to, but it's basically the proteins.
It's the
that exist
proteins.
on that,
Mhm.
from them licking themselves or whatever.
And that's what we found with, people think, oh, I got a hypoallergenic dog or hypoallergenic pet. And they say, well, it doesn't have any allergens. Oh, yes, it does. It still has allergens. It's not going to lose its fur as much. But I mean, there's still allergens in its saliva. There's still allergens in the urine. There's still allergens coming from that are, on the skin. So, I mean, it still has allergens. They just don't shed as much. So when we do testing in homes where people have hypoallergenic animals, we're still going to find those allergens because they're still going to be there.
Let's change the subject here for a minute. We're in the process of working with several entities in different parts of the world, and they're very interested in using the technology from Air Answers. Is there a time limit on shipping? Because it does take a little bit longer to send stuff into the lab here in the US if they were overseas. Is there any concerns there?
With time of shipping, or well, the stability of the sample is fine. So there's no concern if you're sending it into the laboratory and it takes a week or so that there's going to be any kind of issue with stability. So that's really not a concern. So
Okay, very good. Because that was one of the discussions I was involved with about using the Air Answers lab, was concerned about it taking several extra days to get in if it was a concern, just like a regular swab sample of mold. It could incubate and stuff like that. So very good.
Yeah.
So let's see. Could we ask you to run through a list, if you can, of all the different things that you test for, and then maybe summarize it by how long these tests take? Because I know there's different time periods. Is a day, 3 days, 5 days? I mean, there's all different time periods for different types of testing.
Great. And I'll go through this list and I'll actually provide you with that information as well. So if any Normie member has questions about that, you'll have that information to help them with as well. Okay, well, I will start with our beta-glucan testing. Our beta-glucan testing is our marker for actively growing mold. So, for anyone who wants to know if mold is actually growing in the environment that you're assessing, then, beta-glucan would be the test to do. Beta-glucan, you would run beta-glucan for either 24 hours or a 5-day run. And the turnaround time for beta-glucan in the laboratory is a 24-hour turnaround time. So once we receive the cartridge in the laboratory, it's going to be 24 hours, to get that sample, to get the results, sorry. The next one, I will go through the mold genera. The mold genera is 8 different types of molds. I'll try to name them all.
Didn't want to
Penicillium.
put you on the spot, but
Oh, you're fine.
yes, I did.
Aspergillus, Penicillium, Stachybotrys, Fusarium, Catonium, Fusarium, Cladosporium, Trichoderma, Memnunella, and I think that was 8. Was it 8? I don't know. Well,
Well,
we have
you definitely hit our 5 no tolerance molds.
exactly. I hit your 0 tolerance molds there. So those are indicative of severe water damage, correct?
Correct.
Great. So that test, you could run it again for either 24 hours or 5 days. And then the turnaround time in the laboratory is 24 hours for that one as well.
Before you go on, just real quick, on those tests where you said between 24 hours and 5 days, can it be run for shorter periods in there, like 3 days, if that was only the accessible time? Or does that cause a
The
problem?
reason why we tell people either 24 hours or 5 days is because part of the calculation that we provide the results, part of that calculation has to do with time and volume. And all of that is kind of worked into our laboratory information management system. So it's to provide people with information. And then also what we're doing is building out a database so that we're able to develop our own levels of these different things in the air, since there's really nothing to compare it to. So part of that is why we recommend just 24 hours or 5 days so that we can provide people with accurate concentrations and then track those. So.
Okay. That's why I was curious, because I was asked that by somebody and I didn't have the real answer, but now I do.
Now you do. Now you have a bunch of information I just provided. Hopefully you can sort through my my ramblings.
Not a problem.
All right. And what next? Mycotoxin testing. Mycotoxin, we test for 4 different mycotoxins: trichoplasine, aflatoxin, ochratoxin, fumonisin, and that is again 1 or 5 days, and it is a 5-day turnaround time for the mycotoxin testing. We have the opportunistic fungal pathogen panel, which is Aspergillus fumigatus, Aspergillus Aspergillus niger, Mucor, and Candida albicans. And again, 1 or 5 days, and that is a 2-day turnaround time in the laboratory. We have the allergen testing. Now, the allergen testing is only 5 days. That's only been validated for 5 days. That was based on case studies or testing that we'd done before, and running on different lengths of time. So 5 days was the best amount of time to get the whole vicinity or the whole type, all the different types of allergens. So 5 days, allergens only, 5 days. And that is a 5-day turnaround time. Now, we do have multi-panels as well. We have a total mold panel, and that is beta-glucan, mycotoxins, and genera. That is you run it 1 to 5 days. It's a 5-day turnaround time. We have the beta-glucan and the allergens together. That's a 5-day run. It's a 5-day turnaround time. We have the comprehensive panel, which is beta-glucan, genera, mycotoxins, and allergens, 5-day run, 5-day turnaround time. We have the cannabis panel, which is the powdery mildew and the botrytis. That can be run 24 hours or 5 days. That is a 2-day turnaround time. We have the COVID testing. The COVID testing is a 3-day run, a 2-day turnaround time. Now, what also is interesting is you don't have to use a different cartridge for each test. If you want to do beta-glucan and genera, you don't have to do 1 for genera and 1 for beta-glucan. You have 1 cartridge, we can run a whole plethora of tests on them. So you want to start with beta-glucan first to see if there's mold growing in the environment. You can do that. And then we keep the sample for 60 days. You can add on other types of tests onto the sample. The only time where you're going to have to run 2 cartridges separately is if you're wanting to run viruses and, the molds and allergens and everything else. You're going to have to run 2. And that's just because our laboratory process to remove those samples from the cartridges are different. So viruses, different sample, but if you have the, 1 sample, you can run everything else on it. You can have, beta glucan, you can do all the genera, you can do the mycotoxins, you can do the allergens, you can all do that off 1 cartridge. So
As
there's
long as it meets the minimum time requirement, because some
exactly.
of them are 5 days.
Yep.
So running a 5-day sample, you could basically test for any and all except for viruses.
Yep. If you're doing just the 1 day, you can run all the molds, the allergens. We'd recommend that you run it, another sample for 5 days. But if you want to run it 24 hours and do, beta glucan, mycotoxins, all the mold genus assays, the opportunistic fungal pathogens, powdery mildew, you can run all that off of 1 cartridge.
I mean, there's a lot of options there, and it sounds like you can mix and match and do everything. But, for the people watching, it's really about testing for what your specific concerns are, or what the assessor or remediator considers the concerns.
Yep.
And it's getting you data. It's getting you information to help you come up with a plan.
Yeah, definitely is. So we do provide a lot of different options. One of the other things is we love to hear what customers want to test for, because with the molecular type testing we do in our laboratory, we can build out our menu quite a bit. So if there's anything that we aren't offering right now that we could potentially offer in the future, please just let us know.
Well, you know that we use the Air Answers device in the training for our NCEAA program, which is the Normie certified environmental allergen testing and assessment program. And it's one of the pieces that we teach about using just for that reason, because of all the allergens that you do. And we just encourage people to do that. I do want to stress, and I talk about this in all the trainings that we do, if you have the technology, if you have the Air Answers device or any other piece of equipment, use it in your home or office first. Don't go out to a customer's location and use it for the first time. Any piece of equipment, sitting there reading the instructions is not the place to do that. Or calling me and saying, how do I do this? Because that does happen. So please, I always say, please use it in your own home. Find out what's in your environment. Become a believer in the technology.
Or sit in your office, watch those short videos, and those are just, how to put the cartridge in, take it out, where to send it, it's just some information. So it is really helpful to try it first before you take it in somewhere.
Absolutely. Good advice. Well, is there anything else that we haven't chatted about that you would like to talk about? I always put it out there like, do you have questions for me? If not, that's okay. I'm good with that.
Well, what's new with Normie?
Well, we're busy. We're going to be at the different conventions. We're going to see you guys hopefully there. I might even have to get another coffee mug. Again, amazing coffee mugs. If you guys have them again, I encourage everybody to go to your booth and try to get one, because they keep things hot forever.
Oh, well, great. We'll make sure that we have those at the next conference then.
Well, I'm just putting it out there. I could use another one. Well, I do want to thank you for your time. It's greatly appreciated. I know you guys are busy.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No, it's our pleasure. We enjoy getting the information from you guys and working closely with you. I look forward to seeing you at one of the next conventions.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward to seeing you too. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we're back. Hopefully you were all able to see that. If you were not, the platforms that you saw part of it on, it's been recorded and it will be available on those platforms going forward, whether you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. The live broadcast that we just did is recorded during the live broadcast, so it's there if you go back to those pages. And I encourage everybody to go to the normie.org site, normi.org. We do have links at the top for the TV channel. It will explain to you our schedule and all the different platforms that you are able to see our broadcasts on. We do broadcast interviews, training, things like that 24/7. It's not video on demand, though there is a video demand option on there. We are just continuously broadcasting across all these different platforms. The social media platforms, we only do special occasions and Tuesday night trainings. So when you go to that normie.org page and click on the Normie TV, you will see a schedule of what's coming for the next several weeks. Roger, were there any questions in the room? I didn't happen to notice any as that was going.
There is one that I think is really intended, but you may be able to answer this, Lance. Mike, Ricky asked if he is to understand that they keep the sample for 60 days, which would enable people to request additional analysis if it's necessary.
That is what Rachel had said, so yes.
That's the way I interpret it myself.
Good evening, Doug.
Hello.
And how are you this evening?
Doing great. Doing great.
Good. Well, we are still live on all of the other platforms, so I just wanted to see if there's anything else. And there is one other thing that I do want to mention, and I don't know if you want to talk about it. It's the upcoming training from OSHA that Dr. Gavin McGregor Skinner is going to be doing on the 24th at the Sunrise Academy. If you wanted to expand on that.
Yeah, I would. Thank you very much. So this particular training is a 3-hour training that's sponsored and paid for by OSHA. It's actually a free seminar. So 3 hours in the morning in English, 3 hours in the afternoon in Spanish. I don't assume anybody will stay for both, but we're looking for assessors, remediators, anyone in the cleaning industry. We want you there. And this would be really important as we begin to develop a training program for frontline, as they call frontline essential cleaners. We've incorporated some of this training now in our CMA CMR class, but this is the 24th, 8:30 in the morning for English and 1 o'clock in the afternoon for Spanish at the Normie Pro Academy at Sunrise. Would love to have you there. I think you'll be impressed with the information that you're going to receive on risk, on viruses, on microbials, on reservoirs, places where those things live and breathe and have their being. And so it's a really, really good class, and we're looking forward to a lot of people being there. So that's on the 24th.
I think I did hear you say that was free to anybody.
It's free, absolutely free, no charge.
Yeah, I did specify earlier to our pre-meeting group that was in the room that the only way to get credit, though, for being there is to be there. You can watch it online at class.normie.org, but you do have to be in the class to actually get credit through OSHA for taking that course.
Yes, yeah. And I think we're also giving credits for your continuing education credits for a Normie as well, for your own certifications. So if you're a Normie member, come on down.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I do see another question or two coming in. All right. Some of this stuff we can hold for a little bit later. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody that's on the other platforms, because we will be shutting down the public feed in about a minute or so. And we'll continue on with our continuing ed training for our members here in our Zoom room platform. So I want to thank you all on all the other platforms that are out there tonight. We appreciate you being there. If you do want to take part in the pre and post public sessions, just go to join.normie.org, become a member, and you'll have full access to all of this. So I want to say good night to everybody, and watch for our announcements, and join us next Tuesday night on one of your favorite platforms or our Zoom room. Please stand by while I shut down everything. And for those of you on the other platforms, we will start up our normal 24/7 broadcasting. So give me about a minute, and that's what's going to happen.